Hey, what's up? I'm Nick Rollo. Welcome to the channel. Today, I'm going to show you how to make a pop beat, a dark pop beat actually, in Studio 16. It's more of a breakdown video than anything, and it is off the cuff, and I'm going to try to do it really quickly to not waste either of our times. I've been getting a lot of requests for these kind of videos, so I'm going to try and make them a bit more regularly, show you the process, the workflow, all that stuff behind the decisions I'm making. I'm a pop producer and mixing engineer. I mean, I do more than pop, but I like to do a lot of pop. So I operate out of Studio One. I love it. I recommend it to anyone. Studio One gang. There's a link in the description to a bunch of presets that I'm making. They're all free. You just need to put in your email address and all that stuff. They're pretty handy, I think. They're just for Studio One at the moment. So if you want like a vocal preset, a vibe preset, a bass preset, and maybe a drum bus preset. I think there's 4 things. Maybe there's only 3. One of them might be coming soon. Maybe the drum bus. I should know this. Link below, go get that. Let's jump into it before I waste all of our time. Alright, what's up? Welcome. This is the kind of vibe that we're going with right now. It's pretty simple. I like it. I think it's kind of a dark kind of vibe that would be easy for sort of like real mellow melodies on top of. I don't know though. It's not the best thing I've ever made, if I'm being honest, which is okay. Sometimes you don't make amazing stuff every time. Not that I necessarily ever make amazing stuff. You know what I mean though. So I started this song out with the Arturia Mini Freak, which is a hardware synth. I highly recommend it. I'm really loving it. It's really good for like sequences and arpeggios, and I personally love starting songs with sort of a melody and typically kind of a fairly repetitive melody that I can build like a bass line and chords around. I don't know why, that just really works for me. That gets my creative juices flowing, and it sounds like this. So I'm just kind of pulling a little bit of lows out. I'm apparently trying to compress, but if you see the LC, I'm not compressing at all. So that's good. Just a bit of cleanup there. To be honest, this beat needs to be mixed, so yeah, take it with a grain of salt. The next thing I built around this up line was, I think, the chords. It's hard to discern. Sometimes I do bass first, sometimes I do chords first. Really depends what mood I'm in. For this, let's just say I started with the chords. Alright, so for this I used the Juno 6 by Arturia. Shout out to Arturia. These synths are dope. This is from the V Collection 9. It is good fun. I'm pretty sure this is the initial pad that comes up when you load the Juno 6, which is totally fine. I'm just processing it with, again, a cut here, just a high pass, and allegedly some compression. Let's see if I actually have. Nice, I did. Down here. Oh, okay, a little bit of compression. And then I'm going into Valhalla Vintage Verb. Again, I'm pretty sure this is the default setting, just a slightly shorter decay and mix. Played these chords on a piano. This type of synth always makes things a bit juicy and vibey, I find, so it's pretty easy to kind of get cracking and having a good time. Next, we got this bass, which is the Martinic key bass, which is free, and it's really good. It's so solid on the low end. Like, some bass synths will be really solid on one note, and then the next note is really quiet, and you really don't want that. You want a bass to be consistent. You want the same kind of volume and intensity between different chords. This is really good for that. Very solid. Highly recommend this, especially if you just want a really simple sounding bass synth. Again, I might have started with the bass in this, I might not have, but I just played it into a keyboard and then did the old cue and quantized it. This drum beat, I'm pretty sure started with one of PreSonus's, it did, I guess, their chill hop preset, and I think I might have maybe swapped out the snare, potentially the kick, maybe not the kick though. I have like a fairly specific taste palette, I guess, for my snares, which I typically get from Splice. I just like this kind of sound. has a bit of low end to it. It's not super trebly. I don't know why, that just does it for me. I love the pattern editor as well. I find it's just a really easy way to build drums, especially with just the velocity, repeat, and delay and probability. Actually, these are all really fun to mess around with. Repeat kind of turns it into hi-hat runs. The delay, you can kind of get that really like dragging feel, which can be quite cool. And the probability is just how often this hit will actually happen. So those are really fun to play with. Velocity is easy. It's easy to kind of duplicate, so you can do different things. I just find it a really versatile way to make drums. Sometimes I'll play drums in using like drum pads or just keys, but more often than not these days I use the pattern editor in Studio One. I vibe it. If you want to make this even saucier, with these kind of things at the end, you can drop the velocity to about half. Just kind of gives a feeling of somebody actually playing it. I think in this particular beat, the drum beat with this arpeggiator, it just feels really good. It's got kind of this almost hypnotic sort of vibe to it. I think that's sort of the syncopation between the two. They're really tight. Finally, for like independent parts, I'm using Contact Player or Contact 7, Melted Vibes, Dream Lead. Just kind of threw it on. Felt pretty nice. And I played this melody. I've got that running into the analog delay with these particular settings. And then I've also got this high pass on the Kirchhoff EQ, is how I think I say it, through Plugin Alliance. This EQ is great. I love it. It's kind of like FabFilter's Pro Q. Either could be used, or to be honest, the Studio One EQ also is kind of similar. I'm just used to this one now. Just getting rid of a lot of that low end that we do not need. So altogether, this section sounds like this. So at the start of the song, I made a riser using this contact sound. What I did is I just clicked Control-Alt-B to bounce it to a new track. And then I cut up the last part of it, so around here, put it through Valhalla Vintage Verb, any reverb works, and then clicked here, went transform to real-time audio, and then I reversed it and cut it sort of towards when the notes actually start to play. It's a really easy way to make a riser. I've got a video on that somewhere if you want to look at that. Sounds like this, though. Pretty nice. Make sure that you do a little crossfade at the end so it doesn't clip. I do that with Shift X. Not sure if that's a macro that I made or not. One technique I like to include with drums is sometimes I will, again, Control-Alt-B so it bounces to a new track, and then I will process the drums all together in a different section. So imagine this is maybe a chorus. And again, this is super lazy with the arrangement, but let's say this is a chorus and this is a verse. So in a verse, I might do this. We could go harder with the high-end drop, make it more filtered, and I'm putting this through the room reverb. Again, this isn't a very thoughtful sound, but it just offers a bit of contrast coming from these really bright drums here into more subtle, duller drums. I've also done this with the Mini Freak. I've just done a band pass and putting it through chorus, which pretty sure isn't really doing anything. I've removed the bass as well, so it just kind of feels different. And then out of that, we come to normal drums again with the bass and the normal Mini Freak, so you get a kind of pullback into reality. There's also a cut here. Just gives it some kind of effect. We could do that as well by hitting when these cut together. Control Shift, Control Shift. That feels a lot better. And then finally, to sort of bring it all together in the last chorus, again, terrible arrangement, but the last chorus, I've got this shaker from Splice. I went into Splice and I typed in shaker, and then I went to BPM and I did exact 134. Then I just had to play, and this was kind of in the top 3 for whatever reason. It sounds like this. I love using Splice for these kind of percussive loops. Something about a percussion loop that somebody has played. I could arguably play it myself, but laziness. Having something that's been played like that isn't programmed necessarily, or at least this feels played to me by hand, just adds this organic texture to the drums. Having shakers, tambourines, all that kind of stuff just adds life, and I don't know, it feels really good. That's muting a lot of things for some reason. You get the idea. And yeah, that is how I made this beat. I'm just putting it through FabFilter Pro L just for a bit of loudness right now. Yeah. Hope you enjoyed. If you did, like and subscribe. And yeah, as I said, there are links to things in my description, including those presets you can download for free. Most importantly, have a great day and I'll catch you next one.